Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of That's My Personal Business. How are you? Welcome back to the podcast. If you haven't already, and this isn't your first episode, if this isn't your first episode and you haven't already, will you please leave us a review? That would mean the world to me. I'm going to get that out sooner rather than later because I always forget to say it at the end. I have to leave a note to myself to remind myself. And it means so much, you guys. It helps the podcast so much. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this episode on your stories, leaving a review, subscribing, all of that good stuff, that would mean the world. And welcome back. Thanks for being here. And if this is your first episode, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm Eden Schrader, your host. I'm a destination wedding photographer turned business coach. And here we talk about all things business, all things personal, all things in between. It's a little mixed bag of all of the things. And this month's theme, if you guys haven't caught on already, is sales and connecting with your ideal client. And that's because Twin Flames is back. Twin Flames is our course on selling intentionally and in a beautiful, non-icky, life-giving way, because selling can be so intimidating and so painful for people. And it shouldn't be. It should be this really beautiful thing where you get to talk about your work and share your gift with the world. And so that is what Twin Flames is all about. It's about connecting with your ideal client, selling to them, how to do so in a way that doesn't feel icky. And it only opens once a year. And it's the reviews that we have for Twin Flames are some of my favorite because they're just so passionate. They follow the name of Twin Flames. The people in Twin Flames are my Twin Flame clients. I'm obsessed with them. They're obsessed with the course. It's an amazing course. Only opens once a year. You can get started for as little $77. So I'll link that for you in the show notes. And what better way to celebrate, Valentine's Day, the month of love. We're talking about connecting with our ideal clients, sales, all of that good stuff. So speaking of Valentine's, we'll do personal updates first. I am hosting a little Galentine's, gender neutral Galentine's this year, which I'm really excited about. So that's in a couple days. And I think I'm going to go all out. I love Valentine's Day. I think it is such a beautiful yet campy holiday. And I think it gets such a bad rap because yes, it is kind of stinky if you're single. I'm single enough this year. I'm dating, but I'm still not in a relationship. And so I feel it'd be easy to get upset about Valentine's Day, but it's just there's so much love in the world, even with our friends and our family or chosen family. And I'm trying to focus on that this year. So I'm so excited about this little party that we're throwing. I have been searching all the Galentine's inspo on Pinterest. So I'm feeling giddy. I also am just beyond excited to go to the dollar store and buy 100 nylon balloons. Nylar? I can never remember what it is, but those are my favorite part of Valentine's Day, is literally those balloons. So I'm super excited about that. I also yesterday microdosed a little. Sorry, mom, but I have to sometimes. Helps with the mood. 10 out of 10 recommend. I use a company called In Your Spare Bedroom, I think it's called. And you don't really feel anything other than happy for several hours, which is great. So microdosed because I was feeling really stumped. So I microdosed. I worked my way through Twin Flames. I personally went through Twin Flames myself, which was super helpful. That's my beige flag. I joke is that I watch my own courses. And I do when I feel stumped. I believe in my courses and they help me a ton. And they're the practices that I follow the practices that I preach. So I went through Twin Flames, rearranged my apartment. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I'm in a different part of my apartment. I needed my desk to be in the sunny part of my home, and it's been in the dark area of my home. Any light that you've ever seen is fake. It's my depression lamp probably that I use as a ring light. So that was really exciting. Rearranged the entire apartment, which is feeling like a clean, fresh energy in the home, which I'm just a little giddy about. What else is new? I'm going to Iceland this weekend, if you can believe it. And I haven't been to Iceland in several years. The last time I went to Iceland, I was with my ex-husband. So several years ago, for those of you that have been around for a while, we're talking maybe 6 or 7 years. For those that haven't been around for a while, yes, I have an ex-husband, but I'm so excited for Iceland. Obviously going to see the Northern Lights. Otherwise I would not be braving this cold, but I'm super excited. I'm doing a full loop of the island, which I've never done before. And I'm just praying it's not cloudy. praying it's not cloudy. If we could all like come together as a That's My Personal Business community and manifest for me that there's not a ton of clouds, I would so appreciate it. Because if I go to Iceland in the freezing cold and I stay in igloos, and by igloos I mean like glamping igloos, which are just like see-through homes, which I'm really excited about. But anyway, I'm going to be dramatic. If I stay in igloos in the freezing cold and I don't see the northern lights, y'all might not hear from me for a second because I'm going to be devastated. I'm going to be so sad. So, anyway, yeah, I think that's all of the updates. If you ever want more personal updates, you can go visit me on TikTok, which is where I talk about all things personal, like dating, being a late in life lesbian, how I tried to hit on a TikTok influencer at the bar this weekend and failed and got rejected. All of that good stuff is over there, but I won't bring that too much into, the podcast, even though I will a little. But I'm so excited for today because, again, this month's theme is sales, connecting with our ideal clients, falling in love with our business, all of that good stuff, a la Valentine's Day, a la Twin Flames. And so today we are talking about the hero's journey, which I'm really, really excited about. The hero's journey is a narrative structure identified by a mythologist called Joseph Campbell, and it outlines a universal pattern that can be found in like most stories, most movies. Like any books that you read, any movies that you watch, they follow the hero's journey framework. And the hero's journey framework is actually a framework that we can follow in sales in order to connect with our ideal clients more. And I'm super excited because we're going to walk through what the hero's journey framework even is and what it means in sales. And then I asked ChatGPT to write up how like wedding photographers or photographers could use the hero's journey, which was like so cute and fun. And so I'm so excited to read that off. But there are 12 stages to the hero's journey. It's kind of extensive. And so we're going to walk through them one by one, but I also think an important thing to note is that like you can walk your client through the hero's journey from start to finish, but then you can also kind of skip around it in your marketing, which I think is important to say for those of you that are like me and can't have too much structure. If I have too much structure, too much repetition, I get really, really bored. It's why I have multiple businesses. It's why I run multiple projects, because I love being able to mix up where my creativity goes into. It keeps me more creative to have multiple projects. So anyway, you can mix these up. But let's start at number one. Number one is the ordinary world, the hero's normal life before the adventure begins. So this is you just like identifying who your ideal client even is and identifying the client as the hero. Your customer is the hero of their own story. Obviously, we want to paint them as such. So begin by understanding their ordinary world. Like, what are they doing with their life? Where are they at? What is their current situation, needs, challenges? Like, how can we find our ideal client and identify who they are? And if you don't know how to identify your ideal client, there are so many episodes within the podcast for this. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. Go listen to one of those podcast episodes. Number two is the call to adventure. So the hero faces a problem or a challenge. So this is where we get to highlight a problem that our ideal client might be facing that aligns with our product or service. So like I'm a business coach for creative entrepreneurs. The problem that my clients are having is that they're not experiencing the business of their dreams, whether that's in profit or passion. Those are kind of the two areas that I align with, is that I help people find their creative passion, or I help them scale their businesses, or a mix of both, right? And so that's their problem right now, is that they're not aligning with their ideal business, whether that's in profit or passion. And that aligns with my services, both my one-on-one coaching and my online education. This is the problem that they are seeking a solution to, right? So this could be anything. Like this could be that they're wanting to update their wardrobe because they're not feeling super stylish, or they have a big event coming up. This could be that they're getting married and they need a particular vendor that services them in X and X way. I think what's so important when it comes to highlighting the problem, and where sales psychology gets a bad rap, is that you should be highlighting the problem without fear mongering. Like you don't need to fear monger this, like, do you feel like shit? Are things really, really bad? Things are going to keep being bad unless you hire me. Like, no, that's like a very old school way of selling, and sales psychology did kind of get like that for a little while, where it was very like, hey, here are all of these problems you're facing, it's so bleak, it's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we don't need to do that. We're not organized religion. Sorry, that was a dig. That was a projection. I'm leaving it in though. Sorry. Sorry to anyone that offended. That's my own personal projection of growing up in a really organized religion. That was really toxic. Okay. Anyway, I don't really regret it though. I think it was funny. But we want to highlight the problem without fear mongering. Fear mongering doesn't have a place here. Fear mongering doesn't exist in the same places like passion. So we're not doing that. We're just highlighting the problem and saying that we understand where they're coming from. Number 3 is called the refusal of the call. So, initially hesitant or reluctant to face the challenge. This could even be like their hesitations or objections, just showing empathy and understanding. In a really traditional sense, like let's say Harry Potter, this is when Hagrid comes to Harry and he's like, "You're a wizard, Harry." And Harry's like, no, I'm not. Right? He's like, that can't be. That's the refusal of the call, where he's like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, it doesn't sound like it's for me. That can be people's objections. That can be their hesitations. That could be them being like, can you do everything that I need you to do? Or even like, I'm not sure how much money I have to spend on this. This could be a budgetary hesitation. Like, but we just need to show empathy and understanding during this time. And also, I think an important thing to note is like, how can you get ahead of this one, right? So like, how can you have FAQ sections? How can you have helpful content? How can you assist your future client before they become your client, so that they know that you're trustworthy, they know the ins and outs of what you do in your services, all of that good stuff. A good example of this is even like a hesitation could be like, I haven't seen enough of your work yet. Okay, here are some example galleries within my initial inquiry email so that you get to see those right away. Number 4 is meeting the mentor. So the hero encounters someone who provides advice or guidance, right? So position your brand, your business as the mentor. Introduce your product or service as the mentor that's going to provide the knowledge, the tool, the service, the advice that's needed in order to overcome their challenges. So this is where you like describe what you do and do it in depth in a very branded way so that they know exactly who you are, what you do, and what you bring to the table that fixes these hesitations, that solves these hesitations, that solves these problems that they're having. This is where we're providing the solution. Number 5 is crossing the threshold. So this is where the hero commits to the journey and enters a new, unfamiliar world. So this is where you get to show how your business is going to lead them into a new phase, help them overcome their challenges. This is also where you get to like show what the process is going to be like. So one of my favorite things that we do in my agency is whenever a new client signs with us, we send out a timeline check, which is like this PDF that shows an example of like what the timeline's going to look like, how long it's going to take us to get things back to them, how long we suggest it takes them to get stuff back to us. But we give them this journey guide, basically, right? Like we show them how to cross the threshold. We're like, here's everything we're going to need from you. Here's how we're going to show up for you. This is the timeline for it. It's one of my favorite resources that we have, again, within our agency. But this is your chance to like demonstrate how you're going to change their life or what you're going to be giving them and show them how. Like, what is the process going to look like? Don't leave it up to guesswork. You can always go above and beyond and have surprises, right? Everyone loves a good surprise. It's always great to under promise, over deliver, but don't leave them guessing on what this journey is going to look like. We want to show them the journey. Next, we have 6, which are tests, allies, enemies. The hero faces challenges and meets both friends and foes. So this could be things like hiccups people see within the process. Maybe that's that they're struggling to find, fellow vendors. Maybe it's that planning isn't going as well as they hoped. When it comes to coaching, this could be like setbacks in booking clients. This could be setbacks in mindset. This is like where I've also noticed like when I'm taking big steps to advance my life, that is when I get met with the most trials. Like I was very open with you guys in my 2023 recap that like 2023 kicked my ass and it required me to like, I know it did for most people, but I was taking so many steps towards choosing a better life for myself, and I had to end a lot of friendships. I had to end a really big relationship. I had to move out of an apartment that I was sharing with my partner, and because I was taking these steps to like better my life and better my circumstances, the universe is like, okay, bet, let's see how dedicated you are to a better life. And I got tested with like everything under the sun that could have gone wrong went wrong. Like my childhood dog died, my water went out, my landlord was super homophobic and wouldn't help with anything. there was a heat wave and all of my AC units kept breaking. Like, I lost pitches. Like, it was literally like every single day something life altering would happen. And I truly believe that's because, like, when you are making big steps towards bettering your life, you get tested the most. It's like a when it rains, it pours mentality. Like, that, I truly believe that when it rains, it pours is a true universal guarantee. And I think it's because you get tested to see how dedicated you are to this next step. And so that is where you get to illustrate trials that might be happening within the process, or recognizing that your clients are going to face trials, and be that ally, right? Like, be that ally for them, help them through the process, help them as they experience your product or service, whatever it may be. Okay, 7, approach the inmost cave. The hero prepares for the significant challenge, the most significant challenge in the special world. So that is going to be that is step 7, but it can go along with step 6. Like, we're not writing a movie here. We're just providing a client example or service. And my hope is that they won't have to experience the inmost cave. So for the sake of sales, you can kind of combine that with number 6. And because number 8 is also the ordeal, which is the biggest challenge. And again, this is like something that they use in storytelling, something that they use in movies. So this is like Harry Potter facing one trial and then another trial and then Voldemort. Like, that's the series. And while you might be able to help people with that, like, I would say, like, if you're a personal trainer or something like this, or you're dealing with someone's physical health, I'm like, you probably could face all 3 of those. Because it's like, I think of myself and I'm like, when I start working out, this is such a side tangent, but I'm like, I always get sick. I will always get sick when I first start working out. It's an absolute guarantee. I plan on it. Maybe I'm manifesting it at this point. I don't know, but that's another conversation for another day. But I like get sick, and then I'll hit a wall, or I'll like go out of town, and that really like stumps me. And then I'll get really in my head about like my body image, and I like face all of these challenges to keep going. So if you're there are certain areas and certain businesses that might need all 3 steps, but chances are you probably don't. So we're going to combine those, because then we get to present the ultimate benefit. So highlight the ultimate benefit or value your product service provides, akin to the reward in the hero's journey, which is next. After surviving all of these things, the hero takes possession of a treasure or knowledge. So this is when they're getting, you know, they're getting the thing, they're getting the results, they're getting the wedding day, they're getting your product, they're getting your service. This is the ultimate benefit or value that they get in this process. And this is something that you can majorly use in sales, right? To be like, hey, this is the thing that we're working towards. This is the thing that you're going to get. This is the thing that we are going to build together or experience together or what have you. This is probably the thing that you're the most comfortable advertising, because it's the thing. It's the product or the service. You probably sit in the number 7, present the ultimate benefit area of the hero's journey the most, and you want to be experiencing the entire thing in your sales. So I'm going to move on from this one, because you probably know how to talk about the ultimate benefit. So then we have the road back, which is the hero begins the journey back into the ordinary world. So that is encouraging action. So motivate the customer to take action, starting their journey back to a better version of the ordinary world. For a photographer, this could be something like, hey, get your photos into a physical print, get them into physical copies. Here's how you're going to take action and take care of yourself after this big event. Here's how you're going to implement. Here's how you're going to use things. That's going to be the road back. And then we have the resurrection. Okay, so I like to think of this as this. So let's say they've completed their like client process with you. You now have the ability to sell them into something else. So this could be like the final test where everything is at stake, right? This is where you get to offer reassurance. You get to support them after they have, gone through the client process with you. You get to keep up a relationship with them. You get to speak to your past clients and make sure that they stay current clients. There's so many ways that you can do this, but help them overcome any hesitations that they may have to continue working with you, or even just like hesitations on like, so what do I do now? Right? That's how you can think of the resurrection and return, is like, what do I do now that I have like started this journey afterwards? Where am I going to go from here? How can I keep them as a client? How can I make sure that they have a good experience after? So like, for example, in our course that's launching next week, one of the things that is part of the course that's launching next week is a Discord channel where they get to come in and talk and like launch their big ideas, have conversations with me, have conversations with each other. And that's one of the ways that I support them after they've moved their way through the course. And that is a resurrection or return. The last one is the return with Elixir. The hero returns home transformed with new wisdom or insight. So show the transformation. This is when you're ending your product or service and you get to get reviews. You get to show how you transform their world for the better by providing your product, by providing your service. So this is now where you get to take that client's experience and share it with other future and potential clients. So you should always be getting reviews from clients, whether that is for products or services, because that is a huge part of sales, is that you use the client reviews to sell future clients. Okay, so let's summarize this, right? Some tips on using the hero's journey in sales. 1, be authentic. The story should be genuine and relatable. If there is a section of the story that you cannot make fit to your business or your brand or your stories, please just skip it. There's nothing worse than seeing someone like force their way into the hero's journey and like it's so obvious that that's what they're trying to do, is like really hit one of those touch points. Try to go about it in a really authentic way. Focus on number 2, focus on the customer. The narrative should always be customer centric. Like brand stories should be about you, but you should be telling them in a way that really helps the customer. Like everything is about the customer always. 3, use emotional appeal. Like engage the audience emotionally, not just logically. Like when you are selling something, people don't just want to know the like literal touch points and logistics of what they're receiving. They want to know the emotional appeal, how they're going to feel before and after, what that's going to look like, if they can envision themselves in this process or this story. So make sure that you're using that emotional appeal. Keep it simple. Again, story should be easy to follow. Using the hero's journey framework, you can create very compelling narratives that resonate with your customers, right? You could use the entire hero's journey just in one story that you've experienced within your business or within your life. And just keep it simple. Keep it something that people can actually relate to and they can understand and they can see themselves in your shoes. So now we're going to do a little goodie presented by ChatGPT, because you guys know I love ChatGPT, which if you ever have questions on AI, we have Content is Queen linked for you down below, which is our membership where we talk about AI each week or every other week, so that it can be more accessible for you and give you actionable ways to use AI in your business. But anyway, I asked ChatGPT to help us do the hero's journey framework for a wedding photographer. So let's start at the top. Number 1, the ordinary world. Start by describing the typical scenario of a couple planning their wedding, focusing on their dreams and aspirations for the perfect wedding experience. Number 2, the call to adventure. Introduce the importance of capturing their essence in their special day. The adventure is the journey of the wedding itself, a once-in-a-lifetime event, right? So it's like you're starting to plan. This is the adventure. Refusal of the call. Address common hesitations couples might have, such as concerns about costs, intrusiveness, the fear of being staged, unnatural photos. You get to look at your brand and figure out what people are going to be worried about based on your brand, aka the opposite of your brand. And you get to answer those questions and speak into those concerns before they have the chance to express them, right? So this comes down to like you expressing what your brand is, what it's all about, what you do, what you don't do, all of that good stuff. Then you get to meet the mentor. Position yourself, the photographer, as more than just a service provider, but as a guide who understands their journey and can help capture the essence of their love story in whatever way that fits your brand. This is also one of the reasons why it's so important to introduce yourself and introduce yourself often, because if you're a wedding vendor, especially, or any sort of vendor that's working closely one-on-one with someone, they're going to want to know that your personalities fit and that you guys are like a good fit as people before they spend thousands of dollars on you and a bunch of their time. 5, crossing the threshold. Illustrate how choosing the right photographer marks the beginning of a journey to create lasting memories. Highlight how you'll work with them to ensure their vision is realized. So this is where you get to paint the picture of what a client experience with you is actually like. Don't forget to show us all the different stages of that within your social media, within your selling, within your website and your FAQs. So then we have test allies and enemies. Share story of past weddings where you've overcome challenges, right? Like bad weather, difficult locations to capture beautiful moments. Emphasize your role as an ally on their wedding day and how you're going to make sure that everything goes well no matter what. Like that's such a good way to paint yourself as the wedding photographer ally. Approach to the inmost cave. Discuss the planning and preparation stages where you collaborate closely with the couple to understand their unique story and preferences, right? So, like, as you get closer, make sure that you have within your client process a way to get to know your clients and get to know them well. Make sure you're sharing that with us, sharing that on your social media and for your advertising. The ordeal. This could be the wedding day itself where emotions are high and everything must go perfectly. Share how you navigate this high stakes environment to capture candid, heartfelt moments, right? Like I totally like had this one wedding. I sound like such a valley girl there. But I had this one wedding several years ago where we were in Palm Springs and a flash flood came through and it completely like destroyed the venue. They had no indoor option because it was Palm Springs and they weren't expecting it. And it was just like, it was sheer chaos. And I talked about that in my blog post because I was like, I want people to know that like those photos were so beautiful and they were captured amidst that because things happen on wedding days and I'm going to be there to make sure everything goes well on my end and that I take care of my couple as much as possible. So like that's something that you can talk about within your marketing is when you have overcome these things. The reward, seizing the sword. The reward is the collection of beautiful emotional photographs that tell the story of their day, highlight the joy and satisfaction expressed by past clients upon receiving their wedding photos. Reviews, 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 baby. You literally cannot share them enough. I cannot stress that enough. Like there is no way to share too many reviews. Share one every single day for fuck's sake. Like share one constantly. Share them all the time. That is one of the biggest things that you have to sell yourself. Did I get intense enough for you on that one? Okay. The road back. Discuss the post wedding process where you carefully select and edit the best photographs, crafting the final story of their special day. Resurrection. Address any post event services you provide, such as creating albums or prints or which serve, wow, as the final piece in commemorating their wedding. Return with the elixir. Conclude by illustrating how the photographs you provide are more than just images. They're timeless memories that will capture the essence of one of the most important, significant days of their lives, allowing them to recreate those moments. Wow. Okay. So that is the hero's journey for a wedding photographer. That was 12 different points that you can hit within your marketing to advertise yourself. And again, you can do them in order. That's 12 posts. If you post 3 times a week, that's a month worth of posts. I'm sorry. Did you hear that one more time? That's a month worth of posts if you post 3 times a week, which is like all you really need to do. So follow the hero's journey and then just keep repeating it in different ways with different content, talking about these different aspects of your wedding day. All right, you guys, if you have any questions on the hero's journey and how it shows up in your business, shows up for you, shoot us a DM, hop into our email, do something, come chat with us. I love being able to chat with you guys about the podcast. It makes me so happy. And again, if you haven't already, subscribe, leave us a review. It means the world. If this episode was helpful for you today, please share it on your stories and tag me so I can see. It means so, so much to me. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. I will be batch recording the next month of content because your girl's going to be in Iceland and very likely taking all of that time off. But I hope that you enjoy this episode and don't forget to hop into Twin Flames, and I will see you next time.